fighting against the overreaching of government at all levels, not just the federal government, but state government and local government as well. This is an atrocity that's representative of how that can happen and what did happen.
Now, that is Republican State Representative Mike Pitts standing on the House floor in South Carolina today, obviously opposing the measure to remove the Confederate flag from the State House. The state Senate, the higher chamber in South Carolina, overwhelmingly voted yesterday to take it down, 37-3. The House, as we said, debating the issue today. They will need a 2/3 majority to make that happen. But the question is, while they deliberate that, can and should you be able to fly that flag on private property? So the question, let's even take it out of the South and the debate about what the flag means to different people, the genteel South versus the imagery that it connotes. We're having debates, Mayo, about, I saw this in Southern California. There's a Robert E. Lee High School. So where does this stop? Is it just a flag, or is it Southern imagery and maybe Southern giants that were attached to an era that was all about slavery or the preservation thereof? Where does it start and stop?
Well, we wouldn't have a Goebbels High School. You wouldn't have, a Herring High School. What I will say, though, certainly is that you have the right to fly whatever flag you want in your private time on your property, put it on your bumper sticker, whatever you want to do. That's fine. And we talked about whether the state can actually...
I don't want to interrupt you, but right now you're seeing cases coming out where people who are renters with a lease, person was removed here because the landlord saw that he had a Confederate flag in the apartment, in his own private property, and had it right there in his window. The point is it just the State House? You can do what you want on your private property?
You should be able to, because it's about freedom of speech. You should be able to agree to disagree. That's really what the premise of the United States supposedly is.
Okay, let me give you another example. Right now, NASCAR is struggling with an issue. As people know, and I know Jimmy's a huge NASCAR guy, but people go to these events sometimes 2-3 days before the actual race. They'll bring up their RVs or whatever else, and they have 3, sometimes 4 flags on them. The American flag, they'll have an MIA flag, they'll have maybe their favorite driver's flag, and they'll fly a Confederate flag. There's a debate right now as to whether or not they're going to ban people from having those in parking lots.
Well, see, now, again, it's a privately owned parking lot. If it's not state action, you can do that. You can tell someone that that basically you can't tell someone. Let's put it this way. I would tend to think that you should be able to fly your flag wherever you want to. The government can't tell you that you can't, personally. Now, a private institution, that's a different story. If they want to tell you you're not able to fly it there.
But do you really think that's where it's going to start and stop, whether it's state houses or colleges or office buildings, or do you think it's going to go beyond that?
I do think
Schools will be renamed, or pressures will be put that you're not going to be able to fly it or something else that's reminiscent of what people don't want.
Well, I think that's going to happen. I think even as we look at Bill Cosby, I mean, there may be schools named after Bill Cosby. They may be changing their name soon. So that's all going to be driven by public pressures. But if you feel strongly enough about it, you still have a KKK. No one's going to tell you that you can't. And I'm not here to say that they can't exist. And Doug and I talk about it all the time. I'd much rather have you be open and let me know where you're coming from. I'd rather know if you don't want me in your restaurant, hey, I don't want to be there because I don't want to get the sandwich you give me.
But you don't want them to be able to tell you can't eat there, though.
Well, no, if they can't, they can't. Well, actually, if they want to tell me that that they don't want me there, I don't want to be there. If it's dealing with interstate commerce, then they can't tell me that I can't be there.
Amy, we've seen in football, for example, there's a debate once again of the Redskins in Washington, D.C., if they're going to move a stadium from Virginia to there. But still, the name is there. College teams, Florida State, Seminoles, another Indian tribe that's there as well that have retained their name. Where do you think this goes as it relates to the flag and any remnants of the South where they're trying to embrace the pre-unity or the pre-union establishment.
I think it goes back to this distinction, like you said, of private property versus public property, because free speech rights are very strong. So you can fly the flag on your private property, and guess what? Your neighbor can burn the flag right next door, because that's the right under free speech. But this case with the Confederate flag is about flying it in front of a government building. In California, it's already illegal to do so.
We've seen this with 10 Commandments in Alabama and the rest, Doug. Is this shades of gray, or is it clear when this gets settled, black and white? Is this just private and public, or is this going to be a little bit more muddled?
It's going to be shades of gray, because what's going to happen is that parking lot that you talked about before is going to be a parking lot that's half owned by the government and half privately owned. It's going to be the renters you talked about. It's going to be a person driving on a public highway. It's going to be with a bumper sticker. This is all going to be litigation. It's going to be something that comes out in the case law over a period of time.
Well, the next time we all hop in Jimmy's RV when we go to the NASCAR race, we'll take a look at the parking lot. Gentlemen and lady, thank you very much here. Guys did a great job. When we come back, as promised, I'm going to get to your viewer mail here. We asked a bunch of questions recently on this program. We got some very interesting answers. We're going to give you a chance to sound off straight ahead.